Good afternoon. Hello, hello. We've got 2 minutes still. So maybe what I will do is choose a new background, but I want to remind everybody what we are doing today. So if you're coming in, it's Q&A. It's coaching time. So if you have a question for me, which is what today is all about, we said we would open up time where you had access, because we had a couple of people come on and say, you know, Kathleen, not everybody has access to coaching, or they're not able to have that. You know, there's a high ticket price on investing in it. So we said we would open up Q&A. So if you have a question, here's all you need to do for today is put in the chat that, yes, I have a question. And then I will go through them in order. So you have to have your camera on. And I'll unmute you, right? Because right now, most of you in a minute are going to be muted. So today is all about access to coaching questions. So again, it's first come, first serve. So if you have a coaching question, it's $12.59. You have a head start, but you can say, I have a question in chat, and then I will answer your question first, because that is today's topic. And depending, if not, I'll answer some of the questions I pose to you guys. But the whole point is to answer your questions and give you access to coaching time with me. Whether you coach with our company or you don't, it is open to everybody. Okay, awesome. I see one in the lineup. Thank you, thank you. So I am going, hi, Ken.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Hi, Joyce. How are you? She's waving, but not a sec. Okay, Ken, I'm going to mute you. I'm just going to mute some of the people coming on. Just a sec. There we go. All right. So again, I'm going to say it once more, just in case if you're joining us, that if you have a coaching question for me, this is group coaching session 1. This is our first new thing. So instead of me chatting at you guys the entire time, you have the chance to ask me questions and for me to give you strategic feedback, recommendations, whatever you need. And I'm going to go to my sample question that we put up, questions that we put up earlier. And the only thing is now I can't get you guys to type in what did you do to be most productive, because I'm going to lose my answers in order. Ashes will get lost in the list there. But, so just for yourselves, still, I want you to think about what did we do to be most productive in the last 24 hours, and what are we most grateful for in the last 24 hours? Because usually we would put that in the chat as we come together today. And where is that? There it is. Somewhere. I think it was on our email one. Okay, Ash, I'm just going to get my example questions so I can read them out so everybody kind of knows the preface of what we're talking about, and then we will get started. So they were, what should I focus on right now? So I was talking about if you're looking for a path to clarity, some of the examples of questions we're getting a lot right now are what should I focus on right now? Should I cut or should I invest? Is this a time to consider recruitment, retaining? What do I have to consider for retention? And what about just remaining? Can I just stay as is right now with my business? What is critical in building momentum now for my rebound later? What should teams do to survive? What core systems do I need? How do I come out of this with efficient, profitable, and productive business model? So those are just examples that we had to get this started. So I think on that point, I'm giving my last reminder that if you're on here because you have a question for me, please, which is the whole webinar today. So please put in the chat question. That's all you have to do. And then after we've answered the question with Ash, you will be next in line. So you have access to my brain if you so wish, or experience one or the other, whichever one you want. All right, Ash, we're gonna unmute you. and let you say, because we have a group,
Yeah.
we'll let you introduce yourself too and where you're from and all that fun stuff.
Good morning. My name is Ash Ellis. I'm a coaching member with the Kathleen Black system. And I live in Oakville, and I've been home for the last 1 month. We are a team. We do a fair amount of business, but business has obviously been very, very, very slow in the last 30 days. My question stems around, I sort of understand what we should be doing now to build momentum, or I think I have an idea. However, my question is, once we come out of the lockdown, so, you know, and we have no idea when that could be, let's assume it's 30 days or whenever schools are open, and they say, okay, partial people can go back to work. What does it look like in terms of building momentum from that point, I guess? You know, how do we jump right in? Is there a formula there? Have you thought about that? That's kind of what I'm looking at the next step. And how could we prepare today for that next step, given we have a lot of time on our hands?
Well, okay, so there's a couple of pieces of it, right? Like, what can you prepare today for what you're going to do in the next step? I mean, I think you're going to look at, again, like right now, I'm really happy with the 12 to 18 month time frame, because I think it's far enough out to give us perspective, but close enough to feel real and doable, right? So I'd say, hey, what's going on with your team or business in the next 12 to 18 months? Like, are there any systematic holes? Like, do you guys have a recruit? Because Ash has a team, just so everybody knows. Do you have a recruitment process in place? Do you have an onboarding process in place? Do you have systems that work equally well in a buyer's market or a seller's market? Which means, can I pivot, right? So depending what happens, am I able to pivot? Even if there's a little bit of a adjustment in market and I need a buyer's market mentality, do we have that like muscle memory? You know what I mean? Like, does our team have that muscle memory of, we know what to do, right? Like, we have systems for this. We're set up for this. We have the mentality, we have the mindset. Like, we know what to do. Because if they have the muscle memory, right, of like, we have these systems, then essentially it's just like a mindset shift, and you guys can hit the ground running pretty fast. So I'd consider all of that. You know, reserves, like a lot of people coming out of this are saying, hey, like, do I need to make some changes to my economic model? Like, I hit this and I had no reserves, or I did have savings, or I didn't even know I had to have savings, right? Some people are realizing their expenses and overhead is way too high and it's eating into their profit margin. And the reason they didn't have reserves or savings is because they were never making the money they should have on their platforms anyway. But it didn't seem to matter, right? Because the sun was shining, and, you know, the best time to do your roof is when the sun's shining, but it's not when the majority of people do their roof. It's when it leaks, right? So I'm laughing, but like, that's just human nature. So I look at all of that right now, because I'd say with having a team, you want to increase, like, I'm going to answer the second part of your question too, but you asked me the strategic part. So like, with having a team, you want to make sure that they have like all of the training and systems to be efficient now. Like, what do you have? It's always three things, right? With a team, it's the team member, it's the system, and then it's the overall team. And I'm going to explain this. So you can train a team member on, like, you know, how to be really efficient at communicating with a potential buyer seller, right? You can train them on that. You can train them on, you know, how many times you're going to call that person, or when we're going to put notes in the CRM, like stuff that teams need, right? The second thing is, you can have a system for that. Like, you can have plans in the CRM. You can have, you know, protocol that we trained on. That's great. If we don't have the third component, which is the overall team, like the team leader or the team manager or the team meeting, like all of the environment of the team supporting all of what the team member does and what the system does, it all falls. We always need all three, right? So we need all three pieces. So it's like saying we can't have accountability unless we've created a metric to be accountable to. You know what I mean? Like, the system's the accountability metric. Does that make sense? You're on mute now, Ash, but I'm just making sure. Oh, you're still, I didn't mute you. Hold on. It's you. Sorry. Or we're both pressing the button. Again, I'm the kid on the elevator. So. Like, okay, let's go. My kids would stop pressing the button, Mom. Stop.
I have noisy kids in the back, so I did mute it. But
okay.
you're right.
I didn't think I muted you.
I guess you're speaking to culture then, right? To some extent on that overall team dynamic.
Oh, I think.
You know, what does can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me?
I guess you're speaking. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. I was saying to some extent, the overall team, when we're looking at that model, you know, we're speaking to culture to some extent. And could there be changes with the culture? Because everything was all, like you said, nice outside, and now we're coming out of a lot of questions. So again, how do we model? Can you speak to that? The
Yeah,
changing
I'm going to
culture.
open a diagram to help momentarily. I had a presentation open and I know I have a slide in it that's perfect for this, but it's just taking a minute to download. So let me just see. I will come, just remind me, Ash, because I won't remember and I'll get on to something else. But yeah, for sure. Like we have the brokerage mentality culture, which is more, you know, everybody's an independent contractor. I can't really have like a set way that you do real estate, right? And then we've got kind of team mentality, which is we're all in this together. Like I'm not an expert at, let's say, at systems. So I'm on a team because I know they're going to put in place what's going to allow us to deliver the highest level of client experience possible. They're also going to put in place what's going to give us the most motivation and accountability. Like as people, we thrive in environments that create positive expectations for us, right? That consider that we can do well, we can perform well, we can excel the average. We thrive as human beings in environments like that. So it's not by accident that top performance teams create environments where it looks really normal to be a top 5% or a top 1%, right? Like that's like everyday business for them. It's like, yeah, we drink water, right? And I'm not making fun of it. I'm saying they legitimately make it normal to be exceptional. And that's part of the culture. So how do they do that? Team mentality has a much more of an influence on minimum standards. So they're going to protect the bottom range of what can happen in the business so that they have a lot more control to deliver a really high level of client experience. So it's kind of like if you think about a franchise concept, right? I always say, you know, you could have been a server at the highest end fine dining restaurant in Toronto for 20 years. But if you apply to work at the Keg, you still have to do the Keg training. They don't say, well, you worked in this beautiful French restaurant and you had training, you know, to have the best of the best in serversmanship, womanship, whatever. They don't say that. They say the whole reason that we're able to provide a predictable experience that is high end and a high-ish end, depending, and a high level of service is because we do things a certain way. And we allow people who are really good at things to do what they're good at and other people to do the other stuff. So can you influence culture right now? Yes, I think it's one of the most integral times to influence culture. And I think a lot of team members and team leaders are going to go, wow, you know what? Now I'm realizing like I need to get really good at certain things. So you know what? I want the team to help me do that. And the teams are saying, you know, we got to tighten the reins in certain places because if you're a team, like you have a marketing budget, right? You're spending money for opportunities. You don't have the luxury of like, well, I don't feel like calling today, or I don't feel like this working. It's like you're putting an investment in, and the investment has to work in all the different cogs in the wheel, right? Like it all has to support each other. So I think teams have been really phenomenal at going, how do we raise the minimum standards in our environments? How do we motivate our people? But how do we also have a hyper sense of accountability on the core things that are going to make us efficient, productive, and profitable? So let me just see if this downloaded so I can show you it. I hope it would help if I open the right thing. I think it closed it on me for some reason. You know what? I'm just going to see if it'll open in my drive and then I can show you guys a little bit quicker. And I'm going to show you the performance model. That's what I'm looking for. Just a sec. And then I still know you have your second part of the question, but I think there's only a couple of ways I can answer it. Let's see. It's only when I have people waiting that I can't find things. One sec. You're still there, Ash, right? You can still hear me? I hope. Okay. Can you guys still hear me okay? Yes? No? Yes. Okay, good. So now I'm going to share a screen. I got it up. Okay. So can you guys see this? The performance matrix? Yep. So these are the core ingredients for a high performance culture, a high performance environment. And there's a whole chapter, like a big chapter in the book about this. So Ash, if you want that, grab it, because there's a lot, I expand a lot on this in the book. But these are the core 5 things that we need in place. So number 1, we need accountability, because just as human beings, we need that. And not accountability as in you're not doing well, accountability as in like, we know we help people reach, you know, certain conversion every day, and we can empower you to do that. And if you're not, we can support you and provide training, and that's valuable, right? Like to have somebody in real estate who has a vested interest, who's saying, hey, like I can see where you're really strong in your business, and I can see the metrics of where we can help improve it. Imagine if we improve this one little area by 10%, look at the difference in your results at the end of the year. Like that's a really powerful thing to be able to do to support an agent. Like a lot of brokerages, like we don't have that level of tracking, but teams we do. So this is why we track, you know, the full sales process. Number 2, genius. So accountability, actually, I'm going to go back, right? Accountability as an agent. What goals have I set for myself? You know, what do I want to achieve for myself? What's my perfect week? Am I doing a tracker every week? Am I handing it in? Accountability of systems. As a team, do I have systems in place that make it crystal clear what our expectations are in the environment? And they should be straightforward, they should be logical, and they should be part of the greater good for everyone involved in the team, including the clients, right? So we want to go from vague to precise. Everything in team, we want to take anything that's vague and make it precise. And anything you're doing to implement, we want to do that, like expectations from vague to precise as much as possible. That's what's going to allow us to have our experience to be really high with clients and with other team members. So first, the agent. What do I want to achieve? What's important to me? What are my goals? What do I need to know to get there, right? Like, what are the missing links? And they might not know that, right? Like as an agent, whether you're a team leader, you're an agent, or me in my business, we all have blind spots. That's why we go to mentors to help us see what we don't know. So what accountability do I need as an agent? Second, what accountability does the business need in systems? What do we need to be efficient? What needs to be in place that can be tracked and monitored and measured, that's going to allow us to not forever be on step 1 the rest of our lives and feel chaotic as our businesses are expanding? So what is the system? So example, let's say, Ash, I'm a agent on your team, and the team gave me, I don't know, like 10 leads last month, 50 leads, whatever. You gave me a certain number of leads. Do I know with crystal clear clarity as an agent what I'm expected to, when I'm expected to call those leads, how often I'm expected to call those leads, what am I supposed to say to those leads, what are the outcomes with them, you know, what's a win, what's not? Because we assume this is the same, but it's not. Like different teams, these things are different. So do I know that with crystal clear clarity? Has it gone from vague to precise? Do I know when I should put notes in the CRM? Do I have a plan that once I sign up a buyer or a seller, I know when I should be contacting them? So what you want to do, you want the system to prompt this so that they don't have to mentally think about it all the time. So the agent knows it, but the system's another backup. It's like a safety net, and it's going to prompt the agent, and it's also going to prompt the team. So systems themselves are a level of accountability just on their own. They keep working for us even when we're not working, right? They give us a safety net. It's so important. Number 3 is the team. So I've got this system telling the agents, like, we agree how quick to call a lead, we agree how many times, and then I've got a team. I've got a team leader, a team manager, but nobody's checking in the system if people are actually calling. Nobody's talking about, you know, new clients or success stories or great experiences. That means the team's dropping the ball. You need all three, because all three should be a safety net for each other. Team member, systems, and then the team, whether it's team leader, team manager, admin, all of that. They all have to support each other, and they all should be interconnected like a big puzzle. So that's accountability in a brief way. Number two, genius. Am I taking the time to notice what is absolutely exceptional in the people I work with? Right? Am I noticing what makes them happy, what energizes them, what they love to work on, what they would love to work on after hours for free just because it motivates them so much? Am I watching for people's genius instead of for what's holding them back? And there's two sides to this, because dream teams are built on genius, saying, hey, I'm okay if I'm not good at everything. I want to partner with people who are great at the things I'm not great at, and I'm super happy with that. And once I understand my strengths and my weaknesses, I will have better eyes to see other people's strengths and encourage them, right? And leverage them, which is so awesome. So genius is a couple things. It's number one, putting the right people in the right positions, like personality, style, pace of business, how open to risk are they? You could have somebody who would be a phenomenal as an agent, but they're not open to risk, and it scares them. And maybe they'll be a licensed client care, right? And maybe, or a licensed assistant, and then later on they'll be an agent. So genius is really important in that way. Number two, the other side of genius is leverage. Great teams, as you build your business, not entitlement, not number of years, number of days in the team, but as you build your business and you become more productive, a great team will help you leverage as well. So a productive performance culture will always say, hey, as you expand, here's the next steps that will help you leverage. And that's part of genius as well. Mindset is growth mindset versus fixed mindset. You will never have a top performance culture with fixed mindset. You will never have a top performance culture with scarcity mindset. They kill everything that creates performance. It's impossible. So if we want to really nurture a performance culture, we want to spend a ton of time on, after we've done, we're going to get to training. So after we've trained on the core systems and the core skill set, like the technical competence kind of thing, we want to spend like 80% of the time on how we see the business, who we are, what are our values, what's our mission, what's our vision, and nurturing like responsive versus reactive, right? Growth mindset versus fixed mindset, scarcity, and all of that. A lot of it's in the book, and it's so huge. Like, you go into a team that's really strong abundance mentality, and they will influence somebody, right? Like over time, some people will influence, they'll become way more positive. They'll take on other attributes of the team. They'll just become like them. Other people will be pushed out because they won't adjust, right? They'll just be focused on it, but I can't, but it's not working for me. They aren't curious. Like, great leaders are always curious on a team or leading a team. So they'll move out. Other side of this is you could join a toxic team, right? And you are abundant and you are a growth mindset and you're super positive and you're like, oh my gosh, all these people do is talk bad about their clients, right? Like, it's really detrimental. And then you might leave for the opposite reason. So mindset, there's 10 million things I could talk about on that, but I'm going to keep it very direct. Growth mindset, abundance mentality, and crystal clear values that the team agrees to operate around. Crystal clear values or intentions that the team agrees to operate around. So I'll give you some of ours if you want, Ash. You might already know them, but I shared them at Summit. But some of ours, for example, I just said one, we don't ever talk bad about our clients. I do not believe in that. We don't talk bad about each other. We don't talk bad about our clients. That's one of our core values. Another one of our core values is we're in a coaching business, right? So if you don't believe that somebody can be successful and you're coaching them, you shouldn't be coaching them. That's one of our things, because everything is belief and confidence, right? Another one of ours is no gossip. Gossip is so toxic. And here's the thing, if you don't have these values or intentions in place, here's what happens. People start gossiping, things start to feel weird. Like, you can feel it. You're like, something's off. Like, something just isn't sitting right. And you kind of notice people like whispering, and then you notice people's attitude is a little bit off, but you don't really know what to do with it. When you have values and intentions in place, it's such an easy conversation. It's like, hey, you know what? Like, I know you seem frustrated. Like, we all agree that if there's an issue, we might vent a little bit, but we all commit as a team that we'll go and talk to the person we have an issue with. That's a commitment we made. So all of us agree not to gossip, and we all agree that it'll hurt all of us if we're behaving in that way. So like basic things like that, to always serve. Another one of ours is, I believe the highest like frequency, the highest level of service is love. So to me, everything I want to do in my business is from a place of love. And not everybody understands that. I enforce that one, but I believe the highest frequency is that. So I think love is bold, and it's honest, and it's true, and it's a warrior, and it'll do what it needs to do. So that's one of our values, right? It doesn't mean it's only soft and kind. It's also those things. Environment will always trump the individual. A good environment will always trump the individual. What does this mean? Environment is more predictive of performance than talent. Environment is more predictive of performance than talent. And this is why you can have somebody who maybe would struggle in the real estate industry on their own and have it be really tough, and they can come into a strong brokerage or strong team. Teams are a little bit more like a petri dish, like there's more tension and there's more accountability, so it's a little bit different, but they can come into there and they can actually be a strong agent, and they can thrive and perform really well. You can have somebody who's really talented and put them in a poor environment, and they will underperform. That's just the reality. Our environment either raises us up or pulls us down. Our willpower over time, it's really hard to overcome our environments. So the environment is part of everything else on this circle, just to clarify. Training. It's really easy in real estate. A lot of team leaders are drivers. A lot of team leaders had to figure it out on their own, right? They're like, hey, I got in this business and I had some guidance, but like I had to figure it out. And this is good and bad. That same mentality will build a team. That same mentality will build, take a team down, because a lot of the people who come into your team environment, one of the biggest value that they see from you is the training. So this is why we do a lot of onboarding, right? Like we had a team leader at our mastermind here when, I don't even know when, that's weird. January, it was in January. So we had a big team, you know, big producers. I think they're usually like 300, 350. They might've even hit 4 at some point. I don't know. They're big producers. And she was talking to me and she's like, I've never told you this, but I've got to tell you something. I always have loved, because I talked to her about a couple of agents I had trained, right? And she said, I always loved doing negotiations with those people because they have such a logical, systematic way of doing business, and they're strong and they're confident. Like negotiating with them is like a breeze, because I always know where they're coming from. They always know what they're doing. Like it's just a gift for me. It's just like, I always wondered how they had that. Like, I feel like they just have this encyclopedia of real estate, and they come into the industry and they're so strong out of the gate. And I was like, yeah, because literally our onboarding is like an A to Z in 98% of the core skills you need to be strong and perform in the market, given that you have the rest of the environment, right? So I always challenge team leaders, if you want to have a great onboarding, think about it that way. Instead of saying, what are the basics? Say, what is the absolute, like, most support, best mindset, best perspective, best training I could possibly give an agent within X number of weeks, so they come out of the gate and they are exceptional. And I believe, like Joyce is on here, Dan Gemma's team does that, hands down. Like I trained with them for a long time, but they onboard their agents. They come out of the gate exceptionally better, like 4-6 weeks as a new agent than an average agent. Most of them will be, and I'm not insulting, I'm just saying their ability to be efficient than an average agent will in like 10-20 years. And people go, how do they do it? That's how. They're giving that training in advance before they give the opportunity, so people see the industry in a united way as a team. Because think about it, if I say this similar thing and you say the similar thing, and we both use a similar buyer consultation, and I'm really struggling with it, if I'm kind of doing my own thing, we don't know what pieces work, what don't. But if we both do it and you're having a ton of success with it, now it's going to be easier to get everybody up to that same level. The middle is the heart of it all. Right? The middle is the heart of it all, because it's purpose, passion, and power. You cannot motivate an unenergized person into being successful unless they choose to let you energize them. You can't, right? Like, so for example, if somebody doesn't feel that learning new things is going to make their life better or make their career better, they're not going to thrive in the team. Like, that you have to have your heart in it. And we all have days where we're more happy than others. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that they have the energy and the enthusiasm. Like, there's something in them that cares. Like, that's the heart of all teams. they feel a purpose that is better than any one individual, right? They feel that they're achieving something that's more important than like one house sale or one listing. It's about more than that. It's about building something that's unique and it's special, and the community that they have and they're connected with. So it seems like there's a lot to this, but it's actually like, it's pretty simple. Like, it's laying the foundation in the environment. And Ash, it might feel like a lot right now, but over time, like as you keep building, it just keeps layering and it gets easier and easier and easier. Like all of a sudden you have an onboarding and it's like, okay, I have the onboarding. So now I need accountability to that training. Okay, now I need CRM plans that go with that training. Okay, now I need an activity that prompts me to double check what agents are doing. Like it all literally dominoes or is a big like puzzle, and it all clicks together. And that's one of the most difficult things in the real estate industry right now, that a lot of our training is like infotainment, because our attention spans have gone down in the industry right now. But for us to actually like learn and retain, we need tension, we need focus. It's critical. And a great team has an A to Z comprehensive plan, and it all sticks together. So you can't take one thing and then something else out of left field. Like, it has to all support each other, be interconnected. I hope that makes sense. So I went into a lot, I'm just seeing, because I think we might have other questions, but my second part, your second part, is what do we do when the market, holy moly, let me open the chat. Oh, yes, I don't know if you're saying yes, I hope you're saying yes to questions, but I'll find out momentarily. The second thing, Ash, I don't ever focus on things I can't control. Because they leak power and they create fear and they create a mindset that's not confident, and I can't lead from that place. So I just won't go there. As soon as I go to something I can't control, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't feel good. I'm just going to move a little bit out of that, right? So I can't control when the market's going to open, how it's going to open. I can't control how they choose to do that. I agree with you. They're kind of alluding to, like in Quebec, that it might be in waves. What I can control is helping agents be as strong as possible at the different steps in their process, so they have as many clients engaged in that process as far along as the client is comfortable, so that as those restrictions lift, they can be more and more active and powerful in the market. Because we're in a crisis market. People are in a wait and see mentality. And we know natural human behavior. People will wait until security is higher, confidence is higher, and prices might get higher. We'll see what happens, right? When we come out of this. So you're going to have a lot of people who might, again, talk to you. They might say yes to a follow-up. They might do a buyer consultation. They might sign a BRA agreement. They might do all of that. And then once they get educated, they might go, I'm just not sure. Like they're too risk adverse, right? So they're going to say, I'm just going to wait until things are better. The key is to keep banking those opportunities and connecting with those people. They want help. They're looking for information. There's no reason to say no to them. Why say no when you could say, what if, which one, right? Which one is good for you? I can help you with this. Like, why think about whether somebody should buy or sell right now when we know there are other steps before they're actually going to decide that? And some of them are going to decide to buy or sell, yes or no, either way in a normal market. Why not just focus on educating them and increasing their confidence, so that when they are ready, we've prepared them and they can act. That's the most important thing that we can do right now. And some people have, protocols, and they're working with people who are essential right now, and other people are doing things totally virtually. So anybody who wants this diagram in front of you, if you download the book, it's in there. Just letting you guys know, it's free to download it. So, go for it. I've written whole chapter about this performance matrix and creating performance culture, because honestly, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Like, our team is performance culture, like Shannon, Stacy, Natasha, like, and I've been in my team when it wasn't, and it was hard. Like, not having momentum in your team around you feels like an uphill battle. Having people who you have this, like, similar mindset, similar mentality, like, you honestly feel like you're flying. It is beautiful. It is so worth building, but you got to build it. That's just the truth of it. It's worth it all day long. And what is the site again for the book? Somebody just told me that it wasn't working, but then I tested it right after and it was, I think. Hold on, I might even still have it up on my phone. Let's see. I'll make sure. I'm going to test for you guys. Yeah, it does work. I don't know what's happening. One life.com. Okay, it is in the chat for everybody who would like to download the book. And it's free. Don't go to Amazon because you're going to pay, and I don't need the $8 right now. Just download it for free. Go for it. Okay, and let me just go back. Okay, Ash, did I answer like more than your question? Yeah, like you ask her one question, like, okay. And Gloria, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see, because I don't know if Gloria was saying yes to something I was saying, or she's saying yes, I have a question. So I just want to see where Gloria is. Hold on. Gloria, I'm just going to unmute you because there's only one. Hi, Gloria, can you hear me?
I can. Thank you. Thank you. Just a great session, a superb session. And I was saying yes to whatever you were saying at that moment.
And I don't know what I was saying, but I'm happy you said yes. So it's good. It's a positive moment. Okay, cool. I'm going to move on. Thank you for being here. I'm going to mute you again, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, and I don't know, Joanne, let's see, because I don't want to skip somebody by accident. That would not be fair. Oh, I have two Joannes. Da, da, da. Hi, Joanne. Can you hear me? Oh, I don't think she can. You're unmuted, just in case. Let's see.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can. Success. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Good.
Yeah, that was awesome and very interesting. I was rapidly writing all my notes down, and so I'm glad that you shared that link, because I'll definitely download it.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. I just don't want to, like I said, skip over. So thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to mute you and see. I'm assuming, well, iPhone, I'm going to assume that's just a yes. So we've got the site for the book. Do you have it in paperback? It will be released in bookstores all across North America in January 2021, depending what the world does. But that's all I know. And it will be taped on Audible. They're just a little bit delayed with everything going on. The Audible taping is delayed, unfortunately. So it won't be as soon as we thought. And since I'm taping it and haven't started, I can tell you it's delayed because they're not even ready for me to tape yet. Okay. The yes were, can you all hear? Oh, thank you, Craig. That helps. That makes sense. And Joanna's saying hi there. Okay, so again, today is all about your questions. So if you have a question that you would like to ask me to do with your business, and if you're super shy, you can just message it to me privately, but it would be better if you came on video so I kind of knew what was going on. I'm going to give you guys a second to type it in because I want to be true to my promise, which was to answer your questions versus just talk about whatever the heck I wanted to talk about. Oh, that's a great question, Anne. Okay, thank you. We could talk about that 100%. And I'm just laughing because I came off a podcast. It's the first time ever that I was like live on the podcast. Like I have to go because I had another talk. And like I was trying so hard to be like, oh, I'm trying to respect your time, right? Like 3 times later, finally I have to go. So I'm gonna have to leave now. But I'm laughing because he said to me, he's like, yeah, you seem kind of dominant. Like people might be scared to talk to you. So like, don't be scared to ask me questions. I'm super happy to answer anything you guys ask. What do you look for to suggest it's time to start advertising again? So I really like this question, right? Because as businesses, I mean, anything that you put out into the public, whether it's social media, it's your emails that are going out, it's Google pay-per-click, it's billboards, it's for sale signs, it's bus benches, like and flyers, anything that you're putting out that communicates a message from your business is marketing, right? So advertising is all of those different examples that I just gave you. So do we have people across our network still actively advertising? Yes. Are some of them changing their message of their advertising? Yes, some of them are, some of them are not. So let me give you some examples. First of all, we're in a crisis market. So I've done a ton of talks talking about what that is. So in a crisis market, people want solutions to urgent and immediate problems. That's what they're looking for. And solutions to urgent and immediate problems might be, you know, I'm an investor, should I be buying now? I'm an investor and I don't know if I'm going to get rent right now. I was excited to buy as a first-time buyer. Now what do I do during COVID? Like, these are all immediate questions. You know, I bought firm. Is my house going to close? I've been laid off. What do we do now? Like, these are all immediate real estate questions that require solutions. So that's what the majority of the people who are active in the market are doing. Or I need equity in my house and I'm scared and I needed to sell. I've already bought, right? Like, these are urgent, immediate questions for sure. Depending the way they search for you, it's also, you know, I need groceries, or I need a delivery, or I need help, right? Like, those can be immediate solutions as well. So there's two different mindsets right now in real estate. One is to go 100% just to goodwill, right? To give back as much as possible and offer to do as much as we can, which, yes, is really important. There's another mindset to be hardcore real estate business focused right now. And, you know, this is just a little bleep in the world and it's going to pass and everything will go back to normal. That's a really both are really limited mindsets. Like, and both are easily critical of each other, right? Like, it would be super easy to say, hey, Kathleen, like, what do you mean? They're trying to just focus on helping their community right now. Like, that's kind of judgmental to say that it's a limited focus, but the reality is they're both limited, right? Because somewhere in the middle is the solution. So if you're on a Google platform right now, let's say you do pay-per-click advertising. So you work with like Agent Locator, you work with Commissions Inc., you work with Bold Leads, right? Like, and I'm missing some, but any of those kind of Google pay-per-click platforms, people on Google are searching for something. Like, they're searching for homes for sale. They're searching for, you know, information as an investor. They're specifically searching for information. You're not going to get backlash on a Google platform for offering information about buying or selling, or information in a certain building or a certain community. You're going to maybe get backlash if you're putting something crazy up, like we saw the example, like, you know, sell now before the world falls. Like, yeah, for sure you would for something like that, but something educational. If I'm searching for information, I want that information. What's happened on the Google platforms is that the volume for real estate's gone way down because less people are searching for that information. So most people are not hitting their budgets. So they're either lowering their budgets or they're adjusting their messages right now. But your Google platforms, honestly, unless you tell me a really specific example, I'd probably say if you have the reserves and you're able to convert what comes in, then I would probably leave it, because you're probably not hitting your budget anyway because your volume is lower. If you don't have the reserves and you're worried, cut it. Just cut it. Protect your resources. Make sure you have more liquid cash for sure. But when it comes to social media, people are still putting, like, when you say advertising, maybe tell me, Anne, what you're thinking, like what specific type of advertising? Are you talking about like flyers or, and I can unmute you if you want, or you can type, it's your preference. And she smiled. Do you want me to unmute you? Yeah, okay. Or maybe, oh, there we go. I think Stacey might be the host.
We're still doing a lot of the Facebook posting and pretty gentle. It's not selling. I guess what I'm looking at is what signs do you look at in this situation that kind of make you think, okay, now it's time to reintroduce some of the stuff that you were doing before a little bit. Like, I'm totally against hard or any kind of selling at the moment, but I'm wondering what you look for to say, okay, maybe I can consider getting back to some of that again.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. Like, I'm against any type of hardcore selling ever. I just, honestly, I am. Like, I'm all consultants approach. I really don't believe ever in having hardcore sales. And I think this is why right now, you know, again, like a Google lead comes into us, we're calling them and we're using the same approach that we did before. Why? Because it's a consultant's approach. So we always asked questions. We always met people where they were. We always like had chances to build rapport, and we never offered something unless they saw value in it. We knew they needed it, right? And the timing was right. So we just never did that. So that side of it has not changed. The advertisements before, I think here's the key, right? You're either going to be a first early adapter, like a first wave innovator kind of thing, mentality, a really strong driver, or you're going to watch what other people do. because essentially what's happening is people are trying to test out what people are responding to, right? So they're trying to go, hey, like, are people still responding when I'm advertising my active listings because it's essential and I'm allowed to, or is it making people mad? You know, are people responding when I'm putting out fun stuff to do with your kids, or when I'm putting out, like, these are the plants, which I'm always fascinated with, that you can regrow in water, like vegetables, right? I'm like, this is so cool. So what are people responding to? And I think that's the key right now. People who are creative and love marketing, they're testing the waters and they're seeing what works, and they're not beating themselves up if one thing doesn't get grabbed. Like, that's just part of advertising, right? So I think it's getting a feel for what you're doing and seeing what's resonating with people is really important. But the idea that, you know, we have an active listing and we're not going to expose it right now when we're in a remote world, I don't see any. I think we need to get creative. We need to be delicate. We need to talk about, hey, we're doing this remotely to stay healthy and we're committed to our community, and have, you know, messages of what our protocol and what our beliefs are. Because when people see, hey, I'm advertising this property because they need to sell right now, and I want to make sure as many people see it as possible and I get as creative as possible, people are really warm to that. When it's like, hey, now is your best time to sell and look at my listing and you should be jumping on this, you know, people aren't as excited about that, right? So personally, I don't ever stop advertising yet. I mean, I hope that this doesn't get to a point where we would consider doing that. But I'm looking at it and saying, there's a lot that we can do in our business to help and support. And just putting out a post about a mastermind is an advertisement. It's organic, but it's an advertisement. But I'm doing it to help people. At the beginning, people criticize us for doing that, and I'm okay with that because my values are to lean in and help when I can. So I think the reality is with advertising, no matter what you do, some people will love it, some people will hate it. To me, it's more about testing the market and being clear with your intentions. So I would not stop advertising. I'd customize your message and make it congruent for sure. Does that make sense, or am I totally missing your question? Because I'm not sure. Make sense? Okay, good, because I sometimes go sideways. Caroline wants to know where are you, Caroline? Let's see if I can see you. Caroline, I'm just going to unmute you for a second just to give you a heads up. Hi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so tell me, when you're saying what should I focus on right now, where are things at? Like, where are you at with your business? What are you focused on? What are you considering focusing on?
Okay, well, I'm an individual agent. I'm not part of a team.
Okay.
But I've been in the business 11 years. Got a fairly good database, but I'm guilty. Haven't always been doing the best to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, you know, saying contact your database, call them, do that, but how can you know, I don't want to come across as a used car salesman, like one of the previous things that we talked about.
Yeah.
But you know, to approach that, should we be contacting our database, or what should we be doing right now to focus on our business?
Yes, contact your database for sure. Yeah, remember the metaphor, get on the loudspeaker, right? And see how people are doing. Like, again, that anxiety, that fear, if people have it, just reaching out and seeing if they have questions and touching base. It's like being in a plane, hitting turbulence. We want to hear them on the loudspeaker going, hey, we're expecting turbulence, everything's okay, this is what we're doing to cover it, do you have any questions? Most for people who are firm and not closed yet. Second, for people who are active. Anybody who's active or was supposed to be active, I'd 100% be doing those calls with them. Anybody who is considering buying or selling in the next 6 months, right? And then after that, absolutely, like, this is the best time to call our whole database and just say, hey, hi, can I speak with Bob? Hi, Bob, it's Kathleen calling. I know I haven't talked to you in a little while. You know, the market has been absolutely nuts, and that's not an excuse. I apologize for that. But you know what? I've been thinking about you guys with everything going on. How are you? Like, are the kids at home? Did they come back? Did they stay where they were? You know, I know universities closed. Like, how are you guys doing? And then just see what they're saying and saying, you know what, I'm touching base because some people are on their own right now. They need help with certain things. Like, even if I can't do it, I might be able to help you guys get resources. Just chat with them. And some people I know are concerned, right? They're going like, hey, I was expecting to retire in a couple of years and sell the house. Like, do you think it's going to be an issue? And one of the questions that I like is like, you know, I just wanted to reach out, see how you guys are doing. I know you only bought a year or two ago, but really, even if there is a bit of a blip in the market, like time heals all wounds usually, like statistically and data wise, that's what always happens with the market. So I didn't think you guys were going anywhere in the next year or two. So I think you're going to be fine. You have a few more years, you have time. But am I wrong? Do you have any questions, or are there any concerns with what's going on? Like, just keep it super service, like support based. Like, it's just 100% goodwill. And here's what you're going to find, because I have a bunch of teams that I've talked to and that I've coached that are doing this right now. People will naturally ask you real estate questions if they're concerned, because you're reaching out. They just will. They have multiple teams who are like, yeah, the calls are great. And first of all, to give you guys some peace of mind, every single team, and I mean Ron or Kelly or Sandra, or if Shannon's on here, they might correct me with their clients, like they're all our clients, but you know what I mean. But I have had every single agent I work with or team I work with who's calling their database, people are thrilled to hear from them. They're super happy. And even if it's a really light call, they're like, oh, I was a little bit worried, but everyone's loving hearing from me. And remember the example, like, honestly, I've got to deal with it, because every time I see an email from the company of my, like, and I say wealth advisor just because they're like, they watch the RSPs and stuff, right? But every time I see it, something in me gets, and I'm not an angry person, but something in me gets a little bit frustrated, because I was like, what the heck? That freaking person still hasn't called me. Like, it's more frustrating not to hear from people when you have questions than it is to hear from them. It's better for them to say, no, I have no questions. We're all good. We're focused on other stuff, than to not show up. And I don't know, Sandra, Ron, Shannon, Kelly, any thoughts? Like, I just want to hear if I'm right across the board, or if that's only my clients and I'm making them feel that way. I'm just curious. All your calls are happy, right? Like, yes. I'm just kidding. Ron, are you trying to unmute? Hold on. I think Stacy might. There we go. There we go.
There we go. Hi, guys. Yes, just to add to that, we have a couple of the teams have had success trying to find a way to stay in contact with their CRM, their database, without sounding like a douchey real estate agent. And so some of the techniques that I've seen come back are, we have one team where they have each of their field agents looking at their database. So they're going into their clients' social media, seeing what's happening with their clients in real life and in real time, what their needs, their celebrations, their distress is, and they're commenting to that, not inside the Facebook thread, or not on the wall, because it just gets lost with a bunch of different other posts at this point. They're sending something either via text or email that's representative of what's happening in that person's life. Right now, we're all living in Facebook. All of our life is actually centric into our Facebook or social media posts at this point, whether we're having success or something the kids are doing. We've had a new addition. There's a dog. We lost a dog. That kind of idea. So you can just be human and reach out and say, sorry that you can't do this, or really happy to see that you could do that. So it's just a way, if you're trying to really be personal and not necessarily kind of be completely business focused, a way of being authentic and genuine to the client base that you serve.
Absolutely. And I find it's like, I always love, and I guess it's just me as an agent right now, like my favorite calls every year were two specific calls. One, to invite people to a client event, because it was always super fun and they brought their kids and it was great. And I love making that call. Number two, around the holidays, and to wish them Happy New Year. I loved it. And it always ended up to be like, oh, Kathleen, and they'd say to me, Kathleen, if I know anybody, we'll always send them to you. We love you, did such a good job, whatever. They'd say it. But I love those calls because it was always all about them. Like, they were just, I made all the calls, but they were my fun, like happy, feel good, heartful calls. And this time now, Ron, these are those calls. It's just, how are you, right? Can I do anything for you? And even if they're sad or they have weight or there's fear, it's still like a happy, like, I care, reaching out call.
Well, you've got one of our clients coming on next week who's got a pretty interesting message, but in our client call this week, she did something that I thought was, very, just a brilliant idea. And she was the first to admit that she found it somewhere else. Somebody else recommended it and she just integrated it into her business. So she reached out to her clientele. And then on this past Saturday, Sunday, she was out taking porch portraits. So she was giving her clients a heads up to say, hey, at this time, if you can step out the door with your family, I'm going to be driving by. I'm going to take a picture of your family with my camera, you know, on the porch. And interestingly enough, the only reason she was doing the work was she couldn't find a photographer that would do the job. And the reality was the experience and the exchange she had with these people was pretty amazing. So everybody kind of, it was funny. Some of her comments were, they said, this gives us a reason to have a bath and to comb our hair and all of this stuff. So they came out in droves, kind of in their Sunday best, sat on the porch at this point so that the agent could take their photo. So there was an exchange kind of across the street, driveway, up their walkway. So everybody was perfectly social distanced at this point. But she gathered about 20 photos. And, you know, we've had a conversation. I'm like, okay, so what's your plan? What are you going to do with these photos? And she said, well, I've got a couple of ideas. I'm a send out cards person. I'm going to personalize a send out card. And she said, I have kind of a two mindset. I was going to send them a thank you note of what their experience meant to me, for me to be able to drive by, see that they were healthy, take the picture, have the exchange, because it was a value to me as their realtor. At the same time, I know some people are going to be sensitive about opening mail. So what I'm actually suggesting is I'll do it post kind of COVID of remember when and what it meant to me. She's also going to use the same photo for their house anniversary and of course the upcoming Christmas card. So she's already pre-planning what this looks like as a succession plan with something as a simple gesture of a photo. So it's just at that point, kind of the innovation of how to still, you know, connect with the people who make us what we are, and a way to say thank you and stay connected to them without kind of looking like we have our hand out.
Yeah, it's and Jessica's on tomorrow, Ron. She's on tomorrow, so we'll talk about gratitude. So just in case anybody doesn't know, Ron James is a phenomenal coach with our company, because I did not do an appropriate introduction, as is Kelly Scarr, who's on here, Sandra Seaton, who was on her video, she's not right now, and Shannon Smith. So these are people who are all live, but they're also a part of our coaching team. So like some amazing insight that they could add today. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I think, and somebody, Emily Berry, just wrote a great point. You know, people are home, they're bored, they love hearing from us, but she also referenced a resource that I was going to as well. Shannon did a webinar breaking down the 4 buckets, right? The new leads, the follow-up leads, the center of influence or sphere of influence, depending what language you use, and the new leads, what did I miss? New leads, follow-ups, center of influence. Oh, and the remote people, like the people who, hey, I did a buyer consultation with you, but now that I'm a bit more educated, I want to wait a little bit. How are we keeping in touch with those people? So she did a whole 45-minute mastermind on that, which I think a lot of you were on, but if not, and you need it, please put it in the chat and we can definitely help with that. But long story short, yes, put as much goodwill as you possibly can into the market right now. Energy comes back. Like it's not like I've been coaching 10 million years, but I've been coaching a lot of hours, right? So, I mean, at this point, it's amazing to me how somebody will do prospecting with their center of influence, and it's not necessarily the exact people that they're calling who end up to do business with them, but they magically start getting phone calls or they magically start getting messages. It's like they put energy out there, and that energy always comes back, always. It's your intentions, right? It's a little different with direct leads, but when it comes to COI, always the people who are reaching out and doing it in a certain way, it always ramps up their business. And call pretty much I don't know who iPhone is, just so you know. So I'm reading it, but I don't know who you are. Pretty much my small database, everyone, thank you. They're saying as well, everyone was really grateful for their family, and they got, so I want you guys to notice chat if you've missed it here. We have a couple of people who are saying, I said absolutely nothing about real estate. And one of them, Tim, is saying in the last 3, that he has received referrals in the last 3 weeks. He didn't call for anything about real estate. The next person said the same thing. And I know across our clients, we've had that as well. Just reaching out makes you top of mind, right? There was another question. I'm just scrolling up to, And I think my mentor gave the example like this, and it's a weird example, but I want to share it because I feel like I should. So right now, like marketing, advertising, there's a science to cost per lead and there's a science to conversion, but the creativity of what sticks and what doesn't, like it's literally, and this is a weird example, but I'm going to say it. So it's literally like she did her own example, I'll do mine. So I used to be super finicky with needles. I've gotten better, but sometimes they literally have to use like the baby needle and they're almost like digging around to get blood in my vein, right? So it's like they're poking one place, they're poking another place, they're trying the other arm. And she was talking about an experience during COVID where the person had needed to draw blood for some reason and it was a dentist. So she doesn't typically do needles, right? So like us, we don't typically advertise or market in a crisis or in a pandemic. You know, most of us have never done that. And so this is the dentist trying to draw blood because there was an allergic reaction. So she's going in all different places. And she said, I'll remember the dentist looked up at me and said to me, okay, like, do you want me to keep going? And the person I work with, she helped me write my book, but she said, I knew she was going to quit. Like I knew in her head, she was like, oh, do we just give up? And I didn't know what was happening. I wanted her to take the blood. So like, no, you can't stop. You have to keep going. 10th area on her foot, she finally got a vein and got blood. And I know it's a weird metaphor, but she was using this to try to help a lot of people who are in different coaching industries to understand that right now, like you guys all have your own niche, like, and your niche might be more higher end in a certain community, right? And there's a certain demographic there. And it's like, we have to keep, I know it's weird, but you have to keep looking for blood until it kind of clicks. Like businesses are not built because you build this beautiful mousetrap and they work and there's value and people, congregate to them. Businesses are built because somebody didn't give up and they kept bringing a new adapted perspective version of their message to the market again and again and again until they created enough demand to keep the business going. That's how businesses are built. And all of us are in a crisis time. So we need to keep looking for that other vein and going, what's the message that resonates? How can I help people right now? And I'm not saying hardcore sales. Please don't take that from what I'm saying, because I'm not. I'm saying the message that resonates so we can be creative and figure out, what helps right now, but also what's going to solve immediate problems. So it's what we do to build opportunities right now that is really, really important. So yeah, again, sorry. I just feel like, yeah, definitely don't stop advertising in the most straightforward sense. Okay, and yes, thank you, Ron. I hope you saw that. A couple of people saying thank you. And the one with 3 leads is Katia. Awesome. Client, go Katia. Fantastic. And send out cards. And I think there was one other question. I'm just scrolling back up. CRM. Okay, and this is from Anthea. I'm going to unmute you. I'm giving you a heads up just for a second because I want to ask you a couple questions. There you are. Anthea, can you hear me?
Yes, excellent. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great yourself.
Good, I'm good. So tell me a little bit about your business now and about where you want your business to be in 2 years, like Super Cole's notes.
Okay. I've been in the business for 3 years.
Okay.
It's been, crazy learning experience, good and bad.
Okay.
I've been successful, but I don't have a proper CRM system.
Okay.
And I feel that that's where my weak point is. I don't have a problem picking up the phone, calling people. That's what I've been doing, but it's random. Like it's, okay, here's someone, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So how do you organize are you using Excel, like a notebook, recipe cards? Like how do you organize it right now?
So I go through, like, let's say all my A's, and then I'll write down, let's say I make 5 calls a day. So I'm writing it in a book, all of them. And I'm also doing like a few notes, personal notes that I'm sending also. Because some people that I know maybe are standoffish, they don't want to talk. So I'll write a personal note and just send it off. So I've been making a list in a book with that. And then I was thinking in my head, then I should go back into my CRM and put that information in.
So do you have a CRM currently or no? Not at all?
Not really. It's with Century 21, but I'm not quite sure how good it is.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So a lot of the I think almost all of the major brands, and I could be wrong, but most of the, like I know Century 21 has one, I know Royal LePage has their platforms for CRM, and I think Remax does. I don't know if someone's with Remax so they can confirm. Ron's saying yes, Remax does as well. So I think for sure, like if you're an individual agent and the main needs, okay, I'm gonna say two things, like we're not brand specific, right? So if you have any reason that you might be shifting brand, then, you know, it's up to you to decide how comfortable and confident you are to download your database and shift it. The reason why we've never wanted to have a CRM associated with our coaching platform is we work with big teams, and their CRM is a big part of the value of their business. Like we wanted them to have a standalone platform that was totally independent, that they could have multiple lead sources flow into. So like a big team, I'm always going to recommend, basically right now, almost all of them are using Follow Up Boss. A couple of them are using other variations, but almost all, like some people are using Top Producer to its full extent, and therefore they're not moving, and that's fine, because they're, you know, it's better to use 90% of Top Producer than 5% of Follow Up Boss, just saying, right? So if you're using it completely, that's great, because they might have leads coming from like 3 different companies, right? It's a total different deal. They might have like 5 agents who all have their own databases. So there's that. So team needs for database are totally different than what I'm about to say, is what I'm trying to get at. Is your main need just to have your past clients organized in the database? Is that the main need right now?
Well, I could count my clients, you know, that I've done business, you know,
Okay.
you know, they're under 40. That's not the issue. It's all those other contacts that I have.
Okay.
That
So,
I want to, yeah.
So how do you know who to call in your book? Like, do you go through A and see who you were supposed to call in April, and then go through B and see who you're supposed to call in April? Or is it all?
Zero. Zero. I don't have a system whatsoever.
Okay. So, so I've got some good, like, do you ever want to have a team or have other agents? Like, is this even a consideration for you? It doesn't sound like yet, but I just don't want to assume anything.
Yeah, I don't know what the future will bring. I mean, now it's me, myself, and I'd like to. I've tried to find someone else, but we haven't really been, you know, compatible, let's say.
Yeah. So a big part of our business is effectively following up. So I think you're absolutely right. Like just getting that list on a CRM is going to allow you to do a couple really important things. You can categorize your past clients, like tag them, and it's super easy. Like you can have different tags so that if you do a search, you can see exactly who your past clients are. Oh, I think I need to unmute somebody else. So I left unmuted. That's my fault. There we go. I think we're good. You can also put in any new leads or any follow-ups, but you can assign a follow-up activity to them, which is really, really important. So typically, like when agents start to work with us, they have a follow-up activity, but then if the person doesn't pick up the phone, they're kind of getting lost in the wash kind of thing. So for you, the good news is you have a lot of options that are really going to help you. Like you're moving from a book to a CRM platform that's going to give you like 100 times more capability, right? So that's but in your head, the only reason I'd say not to use the Century 21 is if for some reason you felt that you needed to move companies.
That's a possibility. That I don't have a crystal ball, you know. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, don't answer that because I don't want somebody to think I'm not encouraging that. I'm just asking.
No, it's nothing is forever, right? I mean, I think, anyways. So it's a possibility.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, then in my experience, it's a pain to have to move your CRM. Like teams have somebody do that for them, and they usually work with the tech platform to move it over. It's not fun, right? So if that's the case, you might want to have just a neutral one. So you have a whole bunch you could work with. Like you could work with Exact Contact. You could work with Realty Juggler. You could work with Shannon. Is Shannon on here? She might be on a call, but David Greenspan offers a platform that's really good for individual agents because it's connected to paper-based marketing. So for our individual agents in the future, we're actually looking for that, like the ones who coach with us, we're looking to give them a really discounted access to that platform, because you can do so many different custom searches right on the platform. You can send custom information, you can send updates for certain areas. But what I love about it for individual agents is you can go in and super easy have like a newsletter mail out per month, or, you know, calendars once a year, and the newsletters are all customized based on how you set up your database. So that's a really good one, because you can do two things on one platform. Top Producer is like for teams, Follow Up Boss is the go-to. It's a little bit more expensive. Like if you were ever going to have a team, I'd say go to Top Producer or go to Follow Up Boss would be what you want to work with. But honestly, for an individual agent, most of them are going to have what you need. Like, are you buying anything from Agent Locator? Any leads, or do you have a website through them?
What was the name of the company? Sorry.
Do you buy any online leads at all?
No.
Okay, then don't worry about it. I was just going to say you might already have a platform. Somebody else has said, yeah, Realty Juggler, people really love it. And I have no issue with it for an individual agent. I am not a fan of it for teams. So if you're on here and you're a team and you're going, Kathleen said Realty Juggler, I'm not saying, it is not my recommendation to go to Realty Juggler as a team until they make some changes. Like, just for security of the platform and the way the plans integrate, it is not great. But Anthea, I look at those. Realty Juggler, I talked to David Greenspan, who is through the KITS program, Exact Content and Contact, and I look at the Century 21. If it's free, like we have multiple agents that we've trained in group training who have used Century 21 CRM and been really happy with it.
Okay, that's
yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. I'm just gonna mute you, Anthea, so I don't forget after. There we go. Royal LePage will start KV Core, which, yes, we've heard about, we're excited about. What are your thoughts about that one? Top Producer has a discount through Mississauga board. It cost me 30 Canadian a month. Okay, so Top Producer is a great platform. There's pros and cons to it. Like we do a lot of training and coaching on how to set up your funnels in Top Producer. So you know how you have your new leads, you have your, I think they're called active, not follow up. And then you've got future, and then you've got basically your past clients. So you've got these like 4 funnels, and then you've got your calendar, and then you've got other plans. So you need to set it up in the right way to use Top Producer really well. What it's not good at, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What it's not good at is Top Producer has not been updating their platform. So for example, Agent Locator can have leads go right into Top Producer for you. So they're already in your system, and so can multiple other lead platforms. But if you needed to do anything fancy, like you wanted to have, like your website leads go right in there. It's called API. So API is the ability to write like code and integrate a CRM system with another platform. So for example, Follow Up Boss can be integrated with Infusionsoft. So some big companies, that's really important for them, right? Like they've got a dialer, or they're tracking, and like there's a Marl platform that some Century 21 works with. So we worked with them to integrate it all into Follow Up Boss. They aren't able to do any of that fancy stuff with Top Producer because it's not API compatible. So long story short, if you want to do anything super custom, super fancy, that might not be your way to go. But again, the teams who use Top Producer properly, it's a fantastic platform. It's great. It offers everything that we need as a team. It's just not as new and up to date as Follow Up Boss, and it's not as set up as easily to make calls and do what you need to do. But Follow Up Boss costs more money as well. If you're a team who's going to keep expanding and you've got a lot of plans and you have multiple people on them, again, like Dion Begg, who we work with for investor presentations, he even sometimes has himself added on the plan through Follow Up Boss, and he adds himself as a user. Like it's just a little bit easier to do more advanced things. Oh, and I'm missing a big plus. Sorry, I almost missed something super important. If you have the latest update of Follow Up Boss, you can set it up where the texts go from the agent. So I'm on a team. I'm Agent A. I'm Kathleen. I'm on the team. Why would I be Agent A? I don't know. So I'm calling this person. Follow Up Boss, the latest version, if you set it up this way, and I love it so much, it'll record the calls to that client in the system. I text the client, it'll record the text, and the client can reply back to it there. I email the client, so it's literally all in one platform under that client in the system, but you have to set it up to do it. For training, like if you have a team or you're an agent and you're like, I don't get it, you know, I'm calling people and I'm not getting any outcomes, like nobody's booking appointments, no follow-ups, no nothing. It is pure gold because you can go back and listen to your calls and it's phenomenal. So Follow Up Boss has that, whereas Top Producer does not. So anybody who's an ISA department or they're trying to do any advanced training, like we really love that, huge fans of it. And I'm trying to think of who of our big teams are still even on Top Producer right now. Like I can only think of a couple who haven't moved over, to be honest. I think they're almost all on Follow Up Boss, or they're on like other ones that they've set up. The danger is you don't want 3 CRMs. Like I know some people have a CRM for leads, like they're on Agent Locator for leads, and then they're bringing people over to, for example, a Buffini platform for repeat referral once they're past clients. And then they've got another one for active clients for while they're in the transaction process. That's not really needed anymore. You can set up a good CRM to do all 3. Like that's just extra work, and your agents are probably not going to be on the CRM as much as they should if you're on 3 platforms. The key is like bookend it, use it, right? Be there in the morning. You check your CRM and your schedule in the morning. You check your CRM and schedule at the end of the day. Really important, because if it starts to become white noise, it's worth nothing, right? Oh, Ron, I get it now. Sorry, 1 second. I was trying to interpret it. Got it. You're unmuted, Ron.
Oh, awesome. So there is a standard answer when somebody says, what's the best CRM? So somebody must know what it is. I didn't see anybody type it in the chat, but it's the one you're going to use. So if you write it on popsicle sticks and it works for you, great, just continue using it. However, if you are looking for a digital program, to Kathleen's point, right, Follow Up Boss does seem to be the favorite amongst all of our clients, or at least the clients that I serve at this point. I had a team of 5 people. The team leaders were anti-CRM, wanted nothing to do with CRM. I kept bringing it up for almost a year. At this point, they were like, no, 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 stop talking about it. We're not doing it. It's not going to work. It's not for us. Please stop talking about CRM. At the end of the year, they said, okay, tell us about CRM, because they had found out that they were leaving business on the table. So when I talked to them about Follow Up Boss, I gave them a tutorial on how it worked, etc. And they were like, okay. They didn't want to be part of it. They were really pushing back as leadership in the company. So they had their office operations manager take a look at it. And after 2 weeks of her playing with the software, they said, okay, so what do you think? And the operations manager, her name is Suki. Suki said, the only thing that this thing can't do is make you a sandwich. Like, it's probably the most robust CRM out there. I would even say rivaling Top Producer at this point. Top Producer has always been a Ferrari, but not that many people can drive a Ferrari. So you can get in, sit there, take the pictures in the car, but you can't get it to go the way Ferrari designed the car to drive. So Follow Up Boss is a lot more intuitive. It literally kind of thinks for you, which works for a lot of realtors at this point. And if you really understand the tutorials that are available through the webinar series that they have, which is complimentary to your subscription, that thing can literally replace a lot of administrative duties that you're doing now manually. So it's up to you. If you're looking to kind of have some kind of automation that will actually kind of change workflows, please consider Follow Up Boss.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Ron. It's so important. It'll help us be more efficient. And I think the key, somebody asked me again, I'm sorry, you said more about KV Core. I have not been on Royal LePage KV Core. I know a couple, is it a couple years ago now, year and a half ago, I'm not sure, but they released the last update with Royal LePage, the CRM, and we had a few teams, some I was personally coaching with, who were super excited to move over to it. We did the whole move over, you know, and it's not fun, right? Like downloading everything from the old CRM, moving it over, only to realize you could not have plans where you assigned, like you couldn't have one plan where you assigned an activity to an agent and to the admin and to the team leader, and they didn't have that capability yet. So all of those teams moved off of that last upgrade, but what I'm told is that Royal LePage really listened to that and they built something that's going to be fantastic to offer everything that you need. But I have not personally been on it. And yeah, people do find top producer tricky and less user friendly. I found once you know how to organize it, it's like anything else, then it works for you. But if you're a team, you do have other needs. Like you need to be able to see each other's schedules. You need to be able to have plans where you can assign different tasks to different people. You need security and protection. Like as a team leader, you have your whole database on there. Like privacy is a factor, right? Like we have a Privacy Act for a reason. If you're allowing people access to your full entire database and they're downloading that and they're leaving your team and they're calling everybody, that's more than just a breach of maybe your team agreement. That's also a privacy issue. Like you want to make sure you're protecting that data and being reasonable with it. So I think, you know, it's important and to have minimum standards, which comes back to what Ash was talking about. Like as a team member, I didn't start and stop my plans for active buyers. I just put a note and said, hey, this buyer needs to do a couple months of renovations on their house. You know, they're educated, they're ready to go, but they can't buy until they know what's in their pocket. So please put their plan on hold. And I would set a follow-up, you know, every week, every couple weeks, every month, depends on the client. And the admin would get my note and they double check. What's the reason? Do I have a follow-up in place? And then they put the plan on hold and I had to give them a prospective restart date, right? So then they check with me, hey, Kathleen, this client's supposed to be coming off hold. Are they ready to go? And I either say yes or no, and they delay it. And that was so that we could have that safety net that Ash was talking about, not because I'm going to drop the ball as an agent or the admin's going to drop the ball, but because we want a safety net to make sure we don't drop any balls no matter what. Like nobody's to blame. It's just how can we protect and make sure that we're high performance? Because in our business, again, not calling somebody back could cost us 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. It could cost us 3 deals in the future. And it's our brand and our reputation, right? So we just try to protect it, make it super, super easy. All right, so we did well considering at the beginning we had 1 question. I think we have done well. We officially have 11 minutes in case, so I'm going to give you guys a chance. If you have any last question for me, I will answer 1. If it's super, super fast, maybe 2, but 1. And if not, I'm going to wish you guys all a fantastic day. Tomorrow, Jessica Hillard is on. We are going to be talking about the brain science behind happiness and the ability that we actually have to influence our happiness. And she's going to be on to talk about gratitude. And she has an incredible story. Like you guys are going to be really, really impressed with like what she's doing in this time and what she's done with her business. And then Friday is the non-negotiables or the essentials to have a strong remote buyer consultation. So I kind of made a joke in the write-up of like, you're offering, you know, you're asking somebody out on this buyer Zoom date. Like, why do they even want to show up? What are you supposed to say? And, you know, why would somebody want to listen through this online buyer presentation on Zoom? So we're going to talk about what you need to know to make sure that that is hyper successful for you. And again, any of the coaches on here can tell you, we all have clients doing online buyer consultations, doing touch points every single day, and they are signing, people are choosing to hire them, signing buyer rep with those people, and they're getting them engaged in like getting educated on the market, not necessarily outside showings, but getting educated on the market. And they're definitely doing listing presentations on Zoom as well. So really important to help you guys with that. And now is your last chance for 1 last question. And if we don't have one, I'm gonna, yeah, top producer, and yeah, I get it. Okay, so here's how we are gonna end off. If you guys in the chat can just put top takeaway from today so that we're mentally going, this is what I'm gonna take from this meeting, at least 1 thing, and then I'll wish you guys all a great night until we see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Just top takeaway. This is just for your own brain. So if you're clicking off, at least have 1 in your mind for yourself. And thank you everybody for coming. And the people on video, double thank you, because I like getting to see you guys. I see Joyce is right beside me, then Ken, and then Ronnie, and then Armando. And I think it says Mo3, Melissa, Sandra. Yeah, I love the video. Somebody else just turned one on, I think. All right, so takeaway. Thank you, top takeaway. Start using my new CRM. I've had it for months. Awesome. Reaching out to the database to do wellness checks. Fantastic, thank you, Melissa. Okay. Just seeing if anyone else is still writing. Is my CMA, oh, and now we got a question. Is my, and I don't see where you are. Oh, I do. Wolf Klein, I don't know if the name said that right. Is my CRM retrievable in a corporate system? Yes, it usually is, but you usually just need tech support to download it, and then you'll need tech support usually on the new CRM to upload it properly. Some of the companies will help you do it. They'll tell you exactly what to ask for, and they'll upload it for you, because if it doesn't match, it's not going to work, and it's a pain. But yes, the quick answer is yes. Okay, takeaway was content value. Oh, okay, got it. You are welcome, Melissa. You're welcome, everybody. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Awesome. Increased number of past clients. I love it. There's still a few coming in, and they're good. You're welcome, Catherine. Oh no, Gloria, it was snowing here too, but in the sun. Stay safe and warm inside with the blizzard. My goodness. Okay, and somebody sent me a message, so I think what I'm going to do is just look up your information so I can reach out to you, because I'm going to end the meeting for all the people who might not know. Oh, you got it to me. There we go. All right, so I'm officially ending the meeting. You are all welcome. Thanks for coming, Joyce. It's so good to see you. Hopefully I see you again. Okay, bye.